Hey, everybody. I hope you are having a good week. And here we are halfway through the week. I am talking about something that I think is very important, and I can't wait to share my thoughts with you on it and also hear what your thoughts are and your experiences are regarding this topic. Hey, Therese, thank you for joining me this evening. So tell me, first of all, if you're tuning in live, pop a 1 in the comments and where you're tuning in from. And also, if you end up tuning in later, because perhaps you're not a night owl and you've gotten to bed early, or you've got work super early tomorrow morning, then drop a 2 in the comments and also where you're tuning in from. So, hey, Sean jumped on. Good to see you, Sean. So I'm talking tonight about the question, what are you waiting for? And, you may think about that and think, what do you mean? What am I waiting for? So feel free to put in the comments also, what do you think I'm asking in that question? What do you think I'm getting at there? It probably is different for everybody. Another question could be, thinking, or it would be basically, what areas of your life are you waiting on something? And what are you waiting for? What needs to happen for you to then take action in that particular area of your life? That's another way of looking at it, perhaps. So what I think is so interesting about life is that, not everybody, or maybe there's certain areas of your life where you tend to take action quickly. Think about that for yourself. What areas of your life are you pretty quick to make a decision, or pretty quick to jump on, an opportunity? And then on the other hand, what things do you tend to drag your feet on? When do you tend to ask a lot of questions? And not that questions are bad by any means. It's good to understand what you're making a decision about. But what areas of your life do you really drag your feet? So after thinking about that, then I want you to think about, are the areas in which you make quick decisions, are they usually things that are beneficial for you? Or do you tend to make quick decisions for things that may not be so good, may not be so healthy for you? Maybe you tend to be impulsive and make quick decisions about things that are harmful, perhaps, to your life and to your health. And then on the flip side of things, what about those things you drag your feet on? Do you tend to drag your feet on things that really need to be well thought out? Or do you drag your feet on things that could be the most impactful, transformative things in your life, but you're dragging your feet on them? So I think it's a very interesting concept to consider. So to think of an example, perhaps, I know in my health coaching, I see this quite a bit where, someone might see the latest fad that's out there. And so they may jump on purchasing something that, it could be health related. Maybe it's not even health related at all, but it's a significant amount of money. It's a significant investment. And they jump on it because, they're like, all right, got my credit card, got my money ready. I'm going to make this purchase. And the purchase itself is quick. But then consider what happens once that particular item arrives. Let's say it's a treadmill or maybe a piece of exercise equipment. The sale or the purchase of that item could have been the easy part for that person, but the actual commitment and the change in their lifestyle that it takes to get on a routine and to be, having more movement and really, that takes commitment. And so that's why you see, or maybe with yourself, that you might make a really quick decision, but you have to think about the level investment that is involved in that decision, and in actually maybe following through with all that is entailed in that purchase, not only buying the thing, but then doing something with that thing. Can you guys relate to this? Can you relate to what I'm talking about here? Hey, Donna, thanks for tuning in. So we're talking about, what are you waiting for? And it's a very open-ended question for a reason. What are you waiting for in various aspects of your life? For I think for a lot of people, unfortunately, some people that I know, again, I never want to generalize, I see a lot of people who drag their feet on doing the quote unquote hard things, like what they think is hard. And if they had support and they had accountability, they would be able to make changes more quickly and it wouldn't have to be as hard. But they may try to do it alone on their own. They may think that they have all the answers. And what I want to talk about with that is, I hope you guys saw that I did a story, one of my Facebook stories, and it was also an Instagram story, was an image about like what are we functioning out of? How are we operating? What kind of programming, so to speak, if I have any computer programmers out there, mindset is so important. And so, we use our computers, we use our technology an awful lot, too much for my liking lately. And we have to think about the programming that our brains have. So how is your brain programmed to operate? Do you tend to operate out of your head? Do you get in your head a lot and do you operate out of ego? Or do you operate a bit more out of your heart and really leading from your heart? I know I say that sometimes, like lead with your heart and you can't go wrong. So how would you know if you're operating out of your mind and your ego versus your soul and going with your heart? I'll give you some examples to consider. So if you are leading from your mind, from your head and your ego, these are some things that you might be doing. You might be having a lot of anger and blame and being cold to other people. You may be very proud, have a lot of pride, and feel like, you were the main contributor to something, to success. You may be jealous of other people. You may be very caught up in doing, like go, doing, productivity, very much focused on material objects, like I need more, I never have enough kind of mentality. Focusing on the past and being upset about things that happened in the past, or maybe being the opposite, where you think about the future and you get very worried and nervous. And you could have both, of course, not really being in the moment, but getting caught up in the past and in the future. Hey, Sophie. Hey, Linda. Thanks for tuning in. A lot of getting caught up in complaining a lot. That's a sign of being in your head and having an ego, or the ego is getting in the way. We all have an ego. Don't get me wrong. It's just how much we allow ourselves to be in that place and be in our head and our ego. Feeling like you're really important, self-importance. I think it's important to be confident, but there is a limit to, what's healthy confidence. Feeling intolerant to people, wanting to have power, like a power trip. That's very much ego and being in your head, having a victim mentality. This is something that I see a lot. And I was looking at this recently, and I was listening to someone talking about it, and they said that many people operate out of victim mode. And it is I would say a less mature, it's definitely a less mature phase of an individual when they're operating in victim mode. So if anytime someone asks you about a problem you're experiencing, if you tend to blame other people for your circumstances, pointing the finger at other people, that's a pretty good sign that you're operating out of victim mode. Like, well, he did this or she did that, and well, my job did this, and this is why I'm in this situation. Never taking responsibility for your own actions and your own choices in your life. That's very much ego protecting itself and not realizing and being aware of what role you personally played in your own life. Let's see, what am I missing? Denial. Denial's a big one for ego. Our ego does not want to admit that we're wrong. If we're not able to say sorry and recognize faults in ourselves, that is very much ego coming into play. Now let's switch over to a more positive and friendly place to operate, which I think it would be good if we all aspired to have more of. Again, no one's perfect, and we will, my belief is we will all find ourselves in the ego and in the head, getting in our heads side of things. So that's why it's important to be aware. We have two sides of ourselves. And the more positive side, the one that's kind of friendly to talk about, is the soul and the heart side. So the soul side would be that instead of talking about me and me and me, is the we. It's we instead of me. And so if someone is not looking at how something is affecting everyone as a whole, and not wanting to see other people's perspectives and very quickly getting argumentative and shutting people down and questioning them, that would be, again, that's ego. Soul says, let's think about this. Let's figure this out together, because if this is important and it's affecting all of us, then we need to come together and we need to be respectful to each other. Our soul and our heart, should be operating out of love and sympathy. And when you're happy, that makes me happy. Again, not looking at our own selfish desires, but looking at everyone as a whole. So if we want to be more soul and heart-centered, we need to look at, our communities and look at our state and look at our nation and look at our world and look outside of ourselves, look outside of our small communities even. We need to look at the broader picture. It also means wisdom, being humble, having, a spiritual life, because that's what our soul is, our spiritual side of ourselves, being friendly, being more simple rather than getting caught up in materialism and having to have more of this and more of that. Forgiving others is a big part of a heart-centered life or a soul, like coming from your soul. Being grateful, showing gratitude to others for what they teach you and what they, the efforts that they put in on your behalf. Again, it's not being selfish. That's the ego talking, like, oh, well, I deserve this. And yeah, you spent all that time helping me. Well, that's because, I deserve it. Totally ego. That would totally be ego. The soul says, I'm grateful and I'm so appreciative of you. And I'm so appreciative of the efforts that you put in on my behalf to help me in whatever way it was that you helped me. Peace comes from the heart and from the soul. Being understanding, being tolerant of people that are different than you, being free. People who stand for freedom, they see the we. They understand that it's not just about my own personal happiness, but it's about something greater than me. It's all about the we. Let's see. It's now or present oriented. So again, not getting caught up in the past, not bringing up past traumas, not bringing up, well, this happened to me in the past, and because that person did that to me in the past means you're probably going to do this, you're going to do the same thing to me, and getting into a complaining and negative attitude, that's totally ego. And again, future, being anxious and worrying and thinking about what if and the future, that's ego. But soul says we're thinking about the right now. Like, what can we do right now? How can we be more loving? How can we be more supportive of each other? How can we really find peace? And how can we find freedom? How can we support freedom? And gosh, that was a lot to cover, but I just encourage you, if you've never thought of that concept of, am I operating from ego and being in my head, or am I operating from my heart and my soul? I really encourage you to take a look at that. Really helpful, I think. And how it's sort of like doing a check, an internal check on ourselves. Like, how much out of balance are we getting due to our circumstances? Are we getting too far into the negative? And are we becoming hateful? Are we becoming very critical of others? Are we in a bad mood, getting very grouchy, getting very grumpy? Or how can we see a way to be loving and compassionate and supportive of one another during this time. Because honestly, I can tell you the greatest way, and I think I've said this in another video that I did, the greatest way to destroy people, to destroy society, is to invoke fear and hate in the hearts of the people in a society. And so I encourage you to contemplate that, or when you notice yourself getting that way, realize the damage that can be done by perpetuating that and continually spreading that fear and that hate. And I mean, honestly, I know people have been checking out what I'm writing. My intention is to share truth. And if somebody finds something that's opposite it, I don't mind. I'd like to hear what you think about it or what you know about it. But it really needs to be that truth. The truth will set us free. I'm sure you've heard that before. And so, yeah, it all comes down to really, what are the facts? What is the truth? And being loving and accepting of one another and focusing on the we more than the me. I am so glad you guys tuned in. Thanks so much. Gosh, a bunch of people popped on: Nancy, Jen, Dave, Michelle, Bonnie. So my question, I'll leave you with the question that I started with. What are you waiting for? Are you waiting for, fear to pass before you make an important decision in your life? Are you waiting for the perfect timing to do something that you've always wanted? Are you waiting for our government to do something that gives you a sense of security? I don't know if I said this, but actually, I believe in the ego side. The security is actually on the ego side. The ego wants us to feel like we're safe, and it will try to protect us, but it also keeps us stuck and not moving forward. So if we get too much in our head and not in our hearts, an example would be, I'm just going to play it safe. This is ego talking. I'm going to play it safe, and I'm not going to try anything new. It could mean that right now during this quarantine situation, I'm not going to pursue anything new. I'm just going to stay inside. I'm just going to, basically freeze up and, maybe turn on some Netflix and watch Netflix for, until this passes. And that is very much ego and safety talking. If you are operating out of the heart again, then you would be thinking, how can I be of service to others? How can I make the most of this time and of this situation? How can I rise above this feeling of crisis instead of breaking down and crumbling and trying to, quote unquote, stay safe and secure in my comfort zone? And so I think it's so important. It's so important right now. Are you going to be a victim? Are you going to be a victor? I'd love to hear from you and what awareness you got from this video. As a health coach, that is a big part of what I do. A health coach, life coach, is helping people, and sometimes people don't like it, but it's kind of calling you out and helping you to see where you're trying to stay safe and you're trying to protect yourself. But the opposite of protecting yourself is growth. We cannot grow without getting out of our comfort zone. And I've done some videos about that as well. So I challenge you. I challenge you to do something new. I challenge you to declare something. And I challenge you on this video even, declare that you are going to make a change. It could be in anything. That today, starting today, you're going to do something differently that puts you outside of your comfort zone, that is showing love and compassion and focused on the we more than the me. And I can't wait to hear from you guys. I've been looking the whole time during this quarantine at ways that I can be a light, ways that I can support people, genuinely knowing that a lot of people have had their work impacted. I am so grateful. I'm so blessed that I have opportunities I can share with people. But if a lot of people are in that ego, in their head, in that fear zone, and unwilling to try anything new, and unwilling to get bolder and, and grow during this time, then I can't help them. I can't. It's a mindset thing, guys. It's so important. Mind over matter. Your beliefs matter. And, if you say, I was thinking of an example too. A lot of times I see people, and I see, as a coach, or just as a human being, I see people that I feel have so much potential inside of themselves, but they aren't utilizing it. And why aren't they utilizing it? Because they're in their head, they're fearful, and they are, afraid of getting out of their comfort zone and being, maybe they feel like they may fail. Well, the greatest failure that you could have is not due to trying. It's due to not trying at all. When you attempt something and you try it, there isn't failure. It's you're learning. The only thing you can do is learn and do and try. So I would say that the biggest thing, the only way to fail is really by not even trying and not stepping up to the plate. So I hope this has inspired you, motivated you, gotten you to think about, man, what have I been putting off? What am I waiting for? Because, it might sound cliche, but like the time is now. If we're going to go with our heart, we're going to go with our purpose. We're going to go with the idea that, and it's true, that we all are here for a reason. We're all here for a purpose. Then we need to operate from that soul place. We need to operate from that what we do is important, and that it is beneficial to all of us, and that it's, again, we versus me. So thanks, guys. And if you need support with really getting out of that headspace and more into your heart space and making a change in your life, because you deserve more, you deserve to get out of this comfort zone that's keeping you trapped and stuck, I'm here. We could schedule a coaching session to try to help you navigate that. So have a great night, guys, and I hope to hear from you about this topic or anything that you need support with. Bye.